Lazy. That's the word they throw at you, isn't it? Like a knife, like a label, like a curse. They look at you lying still, not moving at their speed, not running in their race, and they sneer. Lazy. But they don't see what's really happening inside you. They don't hear the gears grinding in your soul, the weight pressing on your chest, the silence that feels heavier than 1,000 voices. They think you're wasting time, when in reality, time is crushing you, testing you, shaping you. Stillness. People hate it, don't they? They look at you when you're not moving, not rushing, not chasing the same illusions they are, and they slap a word on you like it explains everything. Lazy. It's funny how quick they are to judge silence, to mock stillness, to laugh at pauses. They can't even sit with themselves for 5 minutes without reaching for some distraction. But when you sit still, when you slow down, suddenly you're broken, you're behind, you're weak. They don't understand that sometimes stillness isn't weakness at all. Sometimes it's survival. The only way to keep from being ripped apart by the chaos clawing at you from the inside. You see, survival doesn't always look heroic. It doesn't always look like someone charging through fire or lifting a car off the ground. Sometimes survival is just staying in one place, refusing to move when everything inside you is screaming, twisting, pushing you toward collapse. Sometimes survival is lying in bed with your eyes wide open, fighting a war no one else can see. They call it laziness because they think survival should be loud, dramatic, obvious. But survival, real survival, is quiet. It's a stillness that takes more strength than most people will ever know. Imagine carrying a storm inside your chest every single day. Imagine dragging yourself through hours that feel like mountains. Imagine your thoughts clawing at you, whispering, screaming, laughing in your head, and still, you stay. You breathe, you wait, you endure. That's not laziness. That's the kind of strength that never gets applause because no one can see it. Stillness is what keeps you alive when the fire burns too hot, when the noise is too loud, when the weight is too much. It's not surrender, it's strategy. But of course, the world doesn't care about strategy. The world wants performance. They want you to dance for them, run for them, smile for them, bleed for them. And when you don't, when you stop, when you pause, they laugh. They don't realize you're conserving energy for a fight they could never last through. They don't realize that what they call laziness is the reason you're still standing. Because if you forced yourself to run at their pace, you'd be done by now. Broken. Gone. Stillness is the refusal to collapse into their game. Stillness is the moment you say, no, not today. And that drives them insane because they can't control it, they can't explain it, and they can't understand it. They don't want to see that stillness is actually strength, because then they'd have to admit their own weakness. They'd have to admit they can't face silence. They can't face themselves. They can't sit in the dark without shaking. You can. And that's what makes you dangerous to them. So when they sneer, when they whisper, when they call you lazy, let them. They'll never know what it costs to sit still and survive. They'll never understand the strength it takes to breathe when everything inside wants to quit. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is survival, and survival, real, raw survival, has always been the most powerful thing of all. The funny thing about battles is that people only believe in the ones they can see. If you've got bruises, scars, blood dripping down your face, they clap for you, they nod, they say, "Oh, what a fighter." But when the fight is inside, when the cuts don't show, when the bleeding is quiet and hidden, they dismiss it. They call it weakness. They call it laziness. They don't see the truth because they can't. Invisible wars terrify them, so they pretend they don't exist. But you know better. You've been in those wars. You've felt the weight no one else notices. You've carried wounds no one else even believes are real. Every day you wake up with a battle already raging in your chest. The kind that doesn't ask your permission. The kind that doesn't give you a break. It gnaws at your thoughts. It squeezes your lungs. It whispers that you're nothing, and still, you show up. Not in the way they expect. Not with flags and fireworks, but in silence. And silence is louder than they think. Because silence is where the strongest wars are fought. You know what's cruel? People think the inside fight is easy. They think lying there, staring at the ceiling, trying to push one foot to the floor, is nothing. They think dragging yourself to take a breath you don't even want to take is laziness. They don't understand that invisible battles are harder than the visible ones, because there's no medal waiting for you, no applause, no validation. Just you and the weight of yourself, clashing endlessly in a war no one else even believes is happening. That's why so many give up. It's not because they're weak. It's because they're tired of being strong in silence. But let me tell you this. If the world could step inside your head for just a second, if they could feel the fire that never dies down, if they could hear the noise that never shuts up, if they could carry the chains you've dragged behind you every day of your life, they'd fall to their knees. They wouldn't call you lazy. They'd call you unbreakable. They'd call you dangerous. They'd call you a survivor. But they can't feel it. So they call it something else to make themselves comfortable. They call it laziness, and they walk away, smug in their ignorance. The invisible battle is the purest kind of fight, because it's not for show. It's not for credit. It's not for anyone else's approval. It's just you against the shadows. And every time you open your eyes, every time you take one more step, every time you breathe through the weight of it, you've won. You've beaten an enemy they don't even believe exists. And isn't that ironic? They think you're losing while you're winning the hardest war a human being can fight. So let them think what they want. Let them laugh. Let them call it lazy. They'll never know that their laughter couldn't survive a second in your silence. They'll never know that their easy words would choke them if they had to swallow the weight you carry. But you know, and that's why you're still here. Because the invisible battles, the ones they don't see, Those are the fights that forge the strongest kind of survivor. Delay. That's the word people spit at you when you don't move at their pace, when you don't rush like a rat through their maze. They see you taking time, breathing slow, pausing when they expect sprinting, and they roll their eyes. They think you're lazy, behind, lost. But delay isn't what they think. Delay can be design. Delay can be the sharpening of the blade before it cuts. Delay can be transformation in disguise, the kind that needs time in the shadows before stepping into the light. It's almost funny how they worship speed, isn't it? They think faster means better, louder means stronger, constant motion means success. But have you ever watched someone move so fast they stumble, trip, crash into themselves? They burn out before they even reach the starting line. They collapse because speed without purpose is chaos, and chaos eats itself alive. Meanwhile, you're pausing, you're waiting, you're simmering, and they think that's failure, but it's not. It's patience wearing a mask. It's strategy dressed as stillness. Change takes time. Real change, the kind that rewires your bones, the kind that tears out who you were and rebuilds you from scratch, that doesn't happen in a rush. That happens in silence, in delay, in the moments everyone else dismisses. A caterpillar looks useless before it becomes a butterfly. A seed looks dead before it breaks the soil. A delay doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means everything is happening. But it's hidden, buried where impatient eyes can't see. And that's the joke, isn't it? They laugh at you for being still while you're actually building something they'll never understand until it hits them in the face. They mock you for pausing while you're storing strength, collecting energy, growing roots so deep they'll never be able to pull you down. They confuse transformation with laziness because they can't tell the difference between motion and meaning. They only know how to chase, not how to prepare. Delay has a way of testing you, stretching you, breaking down your illusions. It strips you bare, makes you sit with yourself, forces you to confront what's real and what's not. And while that's happening, everyone else is racing ahead, proud of their speed, oblivious to the fact that the race they're running isn't even worth winning. They don't see that your delay is refining you in ways their sprint never could. They don't see that your stillness is shaping you into something that won't shatter when the storm comes. Because storms always come. And when they do, the ones who rushed will crumble, and the one who endured delay will stand. The one they called lazy will be the only one left standing, because delay made them unshakable. Delay carved them into something solid, while the rest chased shadows. Delay wasn't failure. It was the slow burn, the preparation, the transformation that doesn't need applause to be real. So let them sneer at your pauses. Let them whisper about your delays. They'll never understand that what they call laziness is just a process they're too blind to see. And when the time comes, when the silence breaks, when what was hidden finally steps into the light, they'll realize the truth too late. Delay wasn't weakness. Delay was transformation. And transformation always takes its time. It's a funny little trick people play, isn't it? They look at the doors that slam in your face, the chances that slip through your fingers, the opportunities that vanish before you can grab them, and they whisper failure. They think rejection is proof you're not enough, proof you're lazy, proof you're unworthy. But what they never see is that closed doors don't end the story. They redirect it. They shove you down a path you never would have chosen, one you never thought you needed, but one that ends up being the only road that could have carried you where you were meant to go. People hate rejection because they think it's personal. They think it's the world laughing at them, mocking their efforts, proving their weakness. But maybe those rejections were never meant to destroy you. Maybe they were meant to protect you, to turn you away from the traps you thought were treasures, to save you from the cages you were ready to walk into with a smile on your face. Maybe that door that wouldn't open was never your door to begin with. But of course, no one sees that in the moment. In the moment, it burns. It feels like humiliation, like punishment, like proof that you're falling behind. You see everyone else walking through their doors, celebrating, winning, running ahead, and you're stuck outside, staring at a wall. They laugh, they sneer, they tell you that you're lazy, that you're not trying hard enough. They don't realize that the closed door isn't the end. It's a redirection. It's a detour. It's a push into the shadows, where you'll find a different kind of fire, a different kind of strength, a different kind of destiny. Closed doors force you to pause, and in that pause, you start to see. You start to realize that maybe the thing you were chasing wasn't what you needed at all. Maybe it would have broken you. Maybe it would have trapped you in something smaller than you were meant to be. That pause carves you, stretches you, tears you apart in ways that hurt like hell, but it also clears the path for something bigger, something sharper, something truer. And here's the twist. Those doors, the ones you thought betrayed you, might be the very reason you survive. Think about it. If every door opened easily, you'd wander into anything. You'd waste yourself on distractions, on illusions, on empty rooms dressed up like palaces. You'd never stop, never think, never ask why. Closed doors save you from that. They force you to ask questions, to dig deeper, to demand more. They take you places you'd never go if life just handed you the easy key. The ones who mock you for being stuck, for being delayed, for being rejected. They don't see the bigger picture. They only see speed and success, like trophies on a shelf. They don't notice that half of those trophies are hollow, meaningless, broken inside. They don't notice that the ones who walked through the open doors too soon are the ones who end up trapped, choking in rooms that look golden but feel like prisons. You, though, you with the closed doors, you're the one being pushed into something stronger, something real, something that won't shatter the second life gets loud. So every rejection, every slammed door, every no, it isn't weakness. It isn't laziness. It isn't proof that you're failing. It's a hand pulling you away from what would have killed you, pushing you towards something you can't see yet, but will one day thank the darkness for. The closed door isn't the end. It's the setup. It's the redirection. It's the map to the very place you were meant to go all along. Timing. That's the piece everyone forgets. The one nobody wants to admit runs the whole show. They think it's about effort, hustle, grinding till your bones turn to dust. They think the louder they scream, the faster they move, the quicker they'll win. But timing doesn't care about their screaming. Timing doesn't care about their sprint. Timing is the quiet hand in the shadows, pulling strings, opening doors at the exact second they're meant to open, and slamming them shut when you're not ready. People hate waiting. They treat patience like poison. They want everything now, yesterday, before they even deserve it. And when they don't get it, when life makes them wait, they cry, they curse, they point at themselves and whisper, lazy. But here's the cruel joke. They don't see that delay is proof of precision. That every second of waiting is sharpening them, breaking them, molding them into the kind of person who can actually handle what they've been asking for. Because getting it too soon isn't a blessing, it's a curse. Too soon, and it collapses in your hands. Too soon, and you burn out before the fire even starts. Too soon, and the gift becomes the chain that strangles you. Think about it. How many times did you want something so badly you thought you'd die without it, only to realize later it would have destroyed you if you had gotten it right then? That job, that relationship, that opportunity, it looked like gold, but it was rust wrapped in shiny paper. The delay exposed that. The delay saved you from running headfirst into a wall you couldn't see. Timing protected you by holding you back, even when you screamed at the ceiling for answers. But of course, no one celebrates timing. They celebrate speed. They celebrate the ones who post their wins, who brag about their success, who pretend they climbed the mountain overnight. What they don't see is the collapse that follows, the hollowness that comes when you grab the crown, before you're strong enough to carry it. Timing is cruel like that. It doesn't give you the crown until you've grown the neck to hold its weight. And that process, that waiting, that delay, is what builds you in silence. It's not weakness to wait. It's not laziness to pause. It's survival. It's precision. It's the exact shaping of who you need to be when the moment finally arrives. And the funny part, the very people who call you lazy for waiting will be the first ones to wonder how you came out of nowhere, how you suddenly stood tall when they thought you were crawling. They won't realize that timing was your weapon all along, the invisible ally they never believed in. Every second of waiting is a test, not a punishment, a test. Can you endure the silence? Can you stand still while the world races past you, laughing, mocking, pointing fingers? Can you trust that your time is coming, even when everything in you screams to give up? That's what separates the ones who last from the ones who burn out. Because the ones who can endure the delay, the ones who let timing do its work, those are the ones who don't just survive. They take over when the moment finally breaks. So when they call you lazy for waiting, smile. Let them run their race. Let them grab their hollow trophies. Let them choke on their speed. Because when your time arrives, and it will, the precision will be undeniable. Timing never makes mistakes. It doesn't care about their laughter. It doesn't care about their rush. It waits until you're ready, until the crown won't break you, until the fire won't consume you. Timing is the proof that every second you waited was part of the plan, part of the sharpening, part of the setup for something they won't see coming until it's too late. A song, it's strange, isn't it? How a melody can sneak past all the walls you've built, cut deeper than any words, pull out truths you didn't even know were hiding. This one isn't random. No, it isn't noise. It's carved for you. Wrapped in mystery, delivered like a whisper you weren't supposed to ignore. There's something in it, something sharp, something tender, something that knows exactly where to land. And the clock makes it cruel. Midnight isn't just a time, it's a warning. A reminder that chances don't wait forever, that messages don't linger in the air. You hear it now, or you lose it. Funny how people underestimate music, isn't it? They treat it like background noise, something to fill the silence while they scroll, while they run, while they drown themselves in distractions. But music isn't noise. It's a scalpel. It slices through your defenses, digs into places words can't touch, drags out feelings you swore you buried. Words. They can be ignored. You can shut your ears to advice. You can mock speeches. You can pretend lessons don't apply to you. But a song seeps in without permission. It bypasses logic, skips the filter, and goes straight for the soul. That's why it haunts you long after it stops playing. That's why a single lyric can break you when 1,000 lectures never could. You've felt it before, haven't you? That moment when a line in a song feels like it was written with your name on it, like someone climbed into your head, stole your thoughts, and turned them into a melody. That isn't coincidence. That's the hidden power of music. It's universal and personal at the same time. It's the one language that doesn't need translation. It doesn't care about where you're from, what you've done, how tough you pretend to be. It cracks you open anyway. A melody hums, and suddenly, you're remembering things you thought were gone. People you swore you forgot, wounds you promised were healed. The song doesn't care about your promises. It digs. See, songs don't argue with you the way words do. When someone tells you you're strong, you doubt it. When someone says you'll make it, you roll your eyes. When they try to convince you with speeches, you shrug it off. But when a note, a chord, a lyric hits that nerve, you don't get to argue. You just feel it. It grabs you by the throat and forces you to feel. That's the danger of music. It tells the truth without asking your permission. And it's the beauty too. And here's the irony. People spend their lives building walls around their pain. They armor themselves with sarcasm, with pride, with laughter that doesn't sound real. They hide. But the second a song slips through, all that armor crumbles. A 3-minute melody can do more damage or more healing than years of pretending, and you can't stop it. You can't block it. Because deep down, you don't want to. You want something to reach you where nothing else has. You want something to prove you're still alive inside. That's why songs matter. That's why this one matters. Because it isn't just music. It's a messenger. It carries something words couldn't carry. Something logic couldn't convince you of. Something silence couldn't explain. It's for you, whether you like it or not. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you think you're too broken, too far gone, too cold to feel anything. It plays anyway. And the second you let it in, it begins its work. Because music has always known the truth. That humans don't need more noise, more lectures, more commands. They need resonance. They need something that vibrates with their own pain, their own hope, their own story. And when the right song comes along, you don't just hear it, you recognize yourself in it. And that recognition, it can break you, or it can save you. Sometimes both at once. So when a song carries a truth you can't ignore, don't laugh it off. Don't call it coincidence. It isn't background noise. It's a mirror. It's a scalpel. It's a whisper from somewhere you can't explain. Cutting straight to the place you've been trying to hide. That's the kind of truth words could never hold. But music carries with ease. And once it's in you, it never leaves. Isn't it strange how we're so quick to call things random? We stumble across a song, a phrase, a moment, and we brush it off like static on the radio. Just noise, just coincidence, just something that happened while we weren't paying attention. But deep down, you know better. Deep down, you felt that pull, that sting, that sense that it wasn't by accident. Some messages don't just float into your life for no reason. They crash in with precision, aimed like an arrow straight at your chest, disguised as something ordinary, but carrying something extraordinary. A song, for example. Out of millions, billions of sounds in the world, why did Ave, that one, find you? Why did those particular words crawl into your ears? Those chords wrap around your ribs. That melody keeps circling your head long after the music stopped. Random. No, too sharp. Too specific. It's almost like it knew you. Like it recognized the ache in your bones, the questions in your head, the secrets you never said out loud. You didn't find the song. It found you. But here's where it gets funny. People don't like to believe in messages. They like patterns, statistics, control. They want to believe they're steering the ship, that everything is under their power. So when something personal shows up, they scramble to explain it away. Coincidence, they say. Nothing more. Because the idea that something is meant to reach you is too unsettling. The idea that you were seen, singled out, chosen for a message, that rattles them. But you can't shake it. Because deep down, you know the difference between noise and intention. You know when something is for you. And when it is, it doesn't let go. It lingers, claws at you, follows you in silence. The words replay in your head at night. The melody echoes when you're alone, And every time you try to brush it off, it comes back louder. That persistence is proof. Random things fade. Messages stay. They press on your ribs until you pay attention. The real trick, though, is whether you'll listen. Because a personal message demands a response. You can't just file it away with the rest of the noise. If it hit you, if it cut you, if it wouldn't leave you alone, then it was for you. And pretending it wasn't doesn't change that. It only delays the moment when you finally admit it. Think about how many times you've ignored those moments. How many times you felt something stir, a word, a sign, a whisper meant to reach you, and you shrugged it off. How many times you buried it under distractions, only for it to claw its way back again later. That's the thing about messages. They don't disappear. They wait. They circle. They strike when you least expect it. And every time you ignore them, the weight grows heavier, the truth grows sharper, until you can't run anymore. So maybe this isn't random. Maybe this isn't just a song, just a melody, just some passing moment. Maybe this was carved for you, tailored to your cracks, your scars, your story. And maybe that's why you can't stop thinking about it. Because when something is personal, it doesn't ask permission. It doesn't blend in. It sticks. It stalks you. It demands to be heard. Random. No, this wasn't random. This was aimed. This was a delivery straight to your soul, wrapped in notes, hidden in sound, waiting for you to stop pretending it was nothing. Because the truth is, you know it wasn't nothing. It was yours. And it always was. Funny thing about songs, they don't just play, they haunt. They seep in through your ears, coil around your veins, and refuse to leave. Everyone else might just hear a tune, a melody, a few nice words strung together. But you, oh, you felt it differently, didn't you? It slipped under your skin. It carried something heavier, something sharper, something that didn't belong to the crowd, but belonged to you. And you can lie to yourself. Tell yourself it was nothing, just music, but you know better. You know when a song becomes more than a song. It's like it was written for you, isn't it? Word for word, note for note. Echoing things you never said out loud, but thought in the quiet hours of the night. Isn't it eerie when lyrics mirror your own secrets? When every syllable feels stolen straight out of your chest? That's no accident. That's no coincidence. That's a mirror being shoved in your face, whether you like it or not. Because sometimes life doesn't talk to you in speeches or books. Sometimes it sings to you, whispers through melodies, and the message is disguised as art, so you don't run from it right away. But here's the part that really twists the knife. Most people ignore it. They hear their own reflection in the lyrics, and they look away. They drown it out, turn up the noise of their lives, pretend the words weren't for them. Because it's easier to live blind than admit something is calling you out. Easier to pretend the universe, fate, whatever you want to call it, isn't speaking directly to you. But ignoring it doesn't erase it. Ignoring it doesn't stop the echo. It just grows louder, sharper, waiting for the moment you're too tired to resist, and then it strikes. And it doesn't just strike once. Oh no, it keeps showing up. Different songs, different words, different nights, but the same truth, the same message, always circling back. Because when something is meant for you, it doesn't let go. It stalks you, hunts you, claws at you, until you finally turn around and face it. That's what makes it personal. That's what makes it undeniable. You don't get to escape it. Not really. And you wonder why it feels so heavy. Why your chest tightens when you hear those notes. Why tears form without your permission. Why your skin shivers like you're being watched. Because you are. That's what a message is. It means you've been seen. You've been marked. Something, someone, somewhere decided those words were yours. Out of everyone in the world, it landed on you. You can tell yourself it's random, but your body knows the truth. That's why it reacts. That's why you can't explain it away. But here's the trick: the song isn't just entertainment, it's an invitation. It's daring you to respond, to act, to stop playing dead while the world screams at you. That's why it came wrapped in music, because music is the one thing you can't guard against. You can shield yourself from advice, from warnings, from signs, but a melody slips through every wall, every defense, every excuse. It gets inside you before you even realize what it's doing. By the time you notice, it's too late. The message has already sunk in, and now it's yours. That's the weight pressing on you when you hear it again and again. That's the reason you can't shake it. Because once the message finds you, it brands you. It's yours to carry, whether you accept it or not. And the longer you resist, the heavier it gets. That's why it feels suffocating sometimes. That's why it burns. Because you weren't just hearing a song, you were being hunted by a truth that refuses to be ignored. So, tell me, are you still going to call it random? Are you still going to pretend it was nothing? Or are you finally going to admit it was meant for you all along? People mistake urgency for panic, as if the world yells, and the only sane thing to do is cover your ears. But a message that arrives at midnight with a melody strapped to, it is not screaming for noise. It's knocking for attention in the quietest way possible. When the world is loud, everything important hides. So when a song finds you in the dark, when it slips under the door and sits on your chest like a hand you can't shake, that is not trivial. That is not coincidence. That is the kind of thing that rearranges furniture inside your rib cage and forces you to notice corners you've been avoiding. There's a cunning to timing. You've been taught to expect flares, the bright signals that demand action. But real calls for change come wrapped in subtler packages. An ordinary tune, a lyric that nails your secret, a chord progression that feels like someone rewired your heartbeat. It's mean, almost elegant. Because it doesn't force you, it seduces you into listening. And people don't believe in being seduced by truth. They like it blunt, raw, spelled out in neon, so it can be ignored with the same certainty as anything else. But a song that waits until midnight knows you're softer then, less defended, more honest. That's the point. You think you're awake when you're scrolling through life in daylight, busy, 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 checking boxes, performing like an actor who's memorized all the right lines. That daytime adrenaline is a costume. It keeps you moving, moving, moving until your muscles forget how to feel. But midnight forces an accounting. The lights go down, the applause dies, and the only audience left is the one inside your skull. That's when melodies become dangerous, because they don't flatter you. They tell you what you've been avoiding. They sing your omissions back at you in a tune so simple you can't argue with its clarity. And here's the delicious cruelty. The song doesn't beg. It doesn't plead or threaten. It arrives like a fact, like gravity. You don't have to interpret it to be affected by it. You can try. Oh, you'll try to rationalize. Rationalize until morning. But facts bend the same way, whether you like them or not. They press up against your chest and make your breath shallow. You can call it coincidence, fate, the universe playing tricks. But the truth sits there humming until you admit it. That admission is the pivot. That admission is the first dangerous footstep out of the shallow pool where everyone else is paddling. People fear things that make them act. That's why they cling to explanations that keep them sitting. I'm tired, they say. Not now. Maybe later. Those are polite little poisons that keep the machinery of avoidance lubricated. But a song at midnight doesn't negotiate. It is not interested in your excuses. It wants you to hear, and then to do something you've been pretending not to know how to do. It wants you to finally meet the part of yourself that's been whispering. Not because it enjoys cruelty, but because truth without action decays into regret. And regret is a slow rot that eats the good parts out of life. You'll tell yourself you're waiting for proof, for bigger signs, for something with more glory, because that's how you stay comfortable. Big signs require big performances, crowds, endorsements, witnesses. Small, private signals require bravery, because they don't come with an audience. They come in the dark, and they demand that you act when no one else will see. That's the test. Will you do it for the applause? Or will you do it because the song told you to and your soul is tired of lying about what it already knows? The latter is rarer, and rarity is why those choices echo longer than any viral moment. Midnight has rules it doesn't explain. It strips away bargaining chips. It forces you to choose. The song plays, and the clock reminds you that time is relentless. Opportunities are not eternal. Chances have expiration dates written in the small print of your life. When the melody fades and the hour turns, the moment either becomes a memory of courage or a fossil of regret. The universe doesn't gloat about this. It simply arranges things until you stand in front of the truth. If you ignore it, you don't get to blame timing. If you listen and do nothing, you don't get to blame fear. The responsibility sits square on your shoulders like a weight that will not stop nagging until you either act or become part of the silence you once despised. So when that song came for you before midnight, when it slipped through cracks and found the hollow where your excuses lived, you can either laugh and go back to sleep. You either laugh and go back to sleep, or you can stand up and answer. Either way, the night keeps moving, and the choice it hands you is the kind only the dark can offer. Act without witnesses, or wait and carry the knowledge that you let the melody go by, and with it the one chance that was crafted to turn your life from a rehearsal into a scene no one can forget. Would you rather be remembered for the step you finally took, or for the silence you chose when the music asked you to move, and you decided to stay in the chair, or pretending you hadn't heard the song that was written just for songs? Don't ask for permission to crawl inside you. They don't knock politely. They don't wait for you to tidy up your head before they step in. No, they barge through the cracks, past the defenses you've built, and before you realize it, they've rearranged something inside. That's why music scares people more than words ever could. Logic can be debated, argued, dismissed. A song, it doesn't give you the luxury of thinking first. It bypasses your brain and plunges straight into your chest, igniting something raw, something primal you can't defend against. That's why they say music speaks to the soul. It doesn't speak at all. It invades. You've probably felt it, a lyric that suddenly feels like it's staring right at you. A chord progression that drags out emotions you swore you buried. You didn't choose it, it chose you. And that's the real trick. Because when words alone fail, when speeches bounce off the armor you've built, a song slips underneath and dismantles you quietly, piece by piece. It's not a fair fight. It's not supposed to be. Music was never designed to negotiate. It was designed to make you feel. And feelings don't wait for logic to catch up. Isn't it strange, though? People will let themselves cry over a song, but never admit the truth behind those tears. They'll say, "Oh, it's just the melody, just nostalgia, just hormones." Lies, convenient lies, because deep down, they know the music didn't just stir random emotions. It touched the exact nerve they've been avoiding. That's why it feels so personal, so piercing, like the song was written about them. Because in a way, it was. Every person has their frequency, their resonance, the one sound that cracks them open. And when a song hits that pitch, you're not just listening anymore. You're unraveling. Think about it. Why do people replay certain tracks when they're broken? Why do they put the same song on repeat until the words blur? Because it's not background noise, it's medicine. It's confession. It's a mirror showing them the parts of themselves they've tried to bury. It's easier to let the song scream what their mouth refuses to say. Easier to let the melody carry the weight of their unspoken truths. And yet, that's where the danger lies too. Because a song isn't just therapy, it's instruction. It tells you what's wrong, what you've been hiding, and what you must do. Most people stop at the first part. They cry, they feel, they repeat, but they don't move. They forget that songs don't just reach the soul. They demand action. And that's the cruel beauty of it. Songs will remind you of who you are long before you're ready to face it. They'll drag your hidden dreams into the open. They'll expose the wounds you've been disguising with smiles. They don't wait for permission. They just tear down the curtains and force light into your shadows. That's why you feel lighter and heavier at the same time when you listen. Lighter because the truth is finally seen. Heavier because you know it won't let you stay the same. You see, words on their own rarely change people. They can inspire, sure, but they bounce. They glance off. Music, though, it lingers. It follows you into the silence after the song ends. You hear echoes of it in the shower, on the train, in the moments you least expect. That's not coincidence. That's persistence. That's the message refusing to let you go. And you can fight it, but you'll lose. Because once a song has marked you, once it's tied its melody to your truth, you carry it. You carry it until you obey it. And that's why songs reach the soul faster than logic. Logic waits to be invited. Music forces its way in. Logic needs your agreement. Music doesn't care. Logic can be delayed, postponed, filed away for later. Music demands the present. The moment it plays, it already owns you. And if it owns you, it changes you, whether you're willing or not. So the question isn't whether the song touched your soul. It did. The question is whether you'll admit that what it showed you was real. Whether you'll stop pretending it was just noise and accept that it was a mirror. Because songs don't lie. They don't flatter. They don't twist themselves to make you comfortable. They break you down until you finally see yourself naked, unfiltered, undeniable. And once you've